fucking freak out here. I made $13,000 this year for tax. Filing my taxes on the last day. $13,000, and that's it. And I still have to pay $2,000 of that. I'm sorry.
So she made $13,000 in 1 year, like earned income, and still had to pay $2,000 in taxes. And she's complaining about, who can live with that type of income. The reality is, that's not good income basically almost anywhere you live unless you're in a different country. And this is what? Part time income? Because there's no way you're making that type of money full time. If you're making that type of money full time, you're doing something horrendously wrong. So that's one thing. And if anything, because this doesn't really make much sense since I believe there's like a threshold where if you make below a certain amount or about the certain amount, you basically don't pay taxes on it like at all. And I think that's about like $12,000. So like I'm just guessing with that number, but basically like what her like taxable income really might be only like 1,000. So how does that even make sense for her to pay 2K to taxes? The only thing that I could basically maybe guess what is going on is that if her parents are like if she's like in her low 20s, like college student, working part-time, whatever kind of stuff, right? If her parents are basically declaring her as a dependent so that they could get a tax break, that might be why she has to pay this type of taxes. Possibly. I'm not a tax person, I'm not a tax expert, but it seems incredibly stupid to pay 2K in taxes when you only make 13K in a year. That doesn't really seem right to me. I think the only way to explain that would be that she has to be getting claimed as a dependent by one parent or both parents or whatever. Something is going on, right? Because she's basically not even making, I think, poverty level, right? So I don't think she legally should have to actually pay taxes at this level of income. And apparently the dogs are like saying something outside. I don't know what they're looking at, but okay.
But who the fuck is living off $13,000? I live with my parents, and I still have to file taxes.
So you live with your parents and you still have to pay taxes, okay?
And what? I'm so. I'm broke. I am broke. Like broke. Like dollars to my name. And yes, I'm very red, so I'm using a filter, but I'm. I don't know. I need to make money because I can't spend this much. I can't live off of $13,000.
Well, I mean, see, that doesn't even make sense to me as well. Like, I feel bad that she's crying and whatnot, but at the same time, it's like, so you can't live off of $13,000, which you chose the job that's paying you $13,000, but you're living at home with your parents, but somehow you can't afford to live. Like, that doesn't really make any sense. You are having to pay taxes when technically you shouldn't even have to be forced to pay taxes at that level of income. Like, this is such a confusing financial situation because there's so many holes in it, right? Like, number one, it doesn't make sense for her to be paying taxes at this income level because she's basically making nothing. Two, how is it hard for her to like survive when she's living at home with her parents? Like that doesn't make sense. Like what type of expenses do you actually have while you're living at home with your parents? Like what? That doesn't even make sense. Three, why are you working such a low paying job? Are you working full time? Doubt it, because in America, if you're working full time and you're only getting paid 13K in a year, something's severely off, right? Either something illegal is going on or you are working a job that is so beneath you that it doesn't even make sense. Like 13K in a year is basically nothing. is basically nothing, right? Especially when you factor in, let's say that she wasn't in this situation where she was living with her parents. She basically wouldn't be able to afford like any rent. She wouldn't be able to afford basically groceries, health insurance, gas if she has a car insurance, a car payment if she has a car payment. Like, you're not living off of that, right? But at the same time, when you technically probably shouldn't have any expenses if you're living at home with your parents, you could technically utilize $13,000 to maybe pay for some sort of certification so that you could increase your skill level so that you could actually get paid more money than $13,000 in a year, which by the way, like, it just seems crazy to me because what? Hold on. So, let's do this calculator. So, $13,000 in a year. So divided by 12 months. So on average, she brings in 1083 per month. Okay? Now, if you subtract 2000 from that, from the 13,000, so she's 11,000. So 11,000 divided by 12 months means that on average she's bringing in $916 a month. A month, okay? That is so disgustingly low. That is very depressing. So, I hope that's like a part time income because a full time income making that type of money, you are going down a very bad, depressingly, financially sad path for yourself if you keep this up, right? Like, you have to find something. You got to find another job. You got to be doing basically any job that is willing to pay you some sort of wage because like $13,000 is just nothing. Like, what is the poverty line for the United States, right? So poverty income for United States. Let's see. Yeah. So she's literally below the poverty line, okay? So for individuals, 2023 income numbers for federal poverty line, right? The FPL for 2023, $14,580. So she is below the poverty line for an individual. Which, by the way, what type of job are you doing and what hours are you doing to where you're only making $13,000 a year? Like, that doesn't make any sense to me. Like, none. Either you're not working full time or you're working full time in a job that is so beyond crap that you have no choice but to just go find another job because this is horrendous. Like, this is literally horrendous, right? Because you could get a job probably at Walmart, at Target, at Trader Joe's, or whatever, making more money than this, probably more than double this income on a yearly basis with health benefits, good, like, free discounts, whatever, for food, I guess, making more than the minimum wage of your state, which, depending on the state, could be anywhere from like $7 all the way up to 15. You could probably make more than that. So, what are you doing? Like, what is your career that you're doing in your life where you're only making 13K in a year? Which, by the way, if you stumble upon this, if you make this type of money, feel free to give your thoughts on this too, because it's like, I don't even understand what you are doing for a job to make that little of income when fast food workers make more than that. Like, full-time fast food workers make more than that. Full-time grocery store workers make more than that. Not to mention, you could work up and like get better positions over and over and over again to the point where maybe you become like a manager of a store or like one section of the store, which could be really good money. I mean, there's like a McDonald's manager who's like bringing in six figures a year. So there's good money out there in places that you don't think about. But one, think about it. Let's say that she's working 40 hours a week, right? 40 hours a week to bring in what, like the 1098 or whatever, 1093 a month? You're getting paid basically nothing. Like that doesn't even make sense to me. Like you have to find a different job. Like no matter what. You have to.
What is this?
Yeah, so
I'm trying not to fucking freak out.
so mostly in Olive. Let's see. Okay, so she actually has a reply for her stuff. Okay.
Gonna clarify this now. Posted that not for what these people are saying. I'm a professional tennis coach, and so I work as a private contractor, which means I have to pay 15.3% on any income I make in the tax year. A lot of people were saying that I don't make money or I need to get a different job. Right. I actually do make quite a bit of money, but last year I could not work about 6 to 7 months of the year. So my income was about 1/3 of what I made the previous couple years. I do know how to file my taxes. My point with this video was to say, like, even if I made more or less, no matter that, it's not a livable income. Luckily, I live with my parents, and I am moving though. So why does it matter who I voted? Because it doesn't. Anyways, thank you for the advice for a lot of you, and I will be filing taxes every quarterly.
Yeah, like again, that jeez. So shouldn't the standard deduction cover nearly all of the 13K? You get 12.5K, you don't owe taxes on.
Gonna clarify this now. Posted that not for what these people are saying. I'm a professional tennis coach, and so I work as a private contractor, which means I have to pay 15.3% on any income I make in the tax year. A lot of people were saying that I don't make money or I need to get a different job. Right. I actually do make quite a bit of money, but last year I could not work about 6 to 7 months of the year. So my income was about 1/3 of what I made the previous couple years. I do know how to file my taxes. My point with this video was to say, like, even if I made more or less, no matter that, it's not a livable income. Luckily, I live with my parents, and I am moving.
Well, the thing is, right? She's complaining about it not being a livable income, but that's because you weren't able to work for quite a few months because your job, your career, or whatever requires you to be there training people in person all the time, basically. Hmm. So, were you unable to do any kind of work for 6 to 7 months or just coaching? Sounds like you need to get a second job if your coaching only brings in 20K per year. Let's see. She says, I couldn't work at all because I was on my college tennis team. I can't get a different job until I'm finished with school, sadly. Well, that doesn't really make any sense. Let's see. Yeah, the thing is, one thing's for sure, since she's like an independent contractor, whatever, basically does kind of like think of it as like you doing like a side gig, a side hustle, whatever. She has to set aside some money towards taxes no matter what, but the reality is she's kind of like in a situation where she needs to basically have some like remote from home job or something just so that she's constantly bringing money in, because if her job relies on her so much of like being able to coach people, if you can't coach people you're not bringing in any money. So regardless of the tax situation, you're simply just not making good enough money, period. So she needs to figure out that situation. pretty quickly.